those of you who don't know me, my name is Kymberly Clem, and I'm the team leader for Ballard Homes team. Today we are going to go over lead conversion. Just to give you a little bit of background, just want to let you know that most of my business came from online leads, as well as keep in mind that we do a lot of client events, referral-based business now as an agent in 4 years. Throughout this process, if you have questions or you want to interrupt me, feel free to do so, because when I was you sitting in these seats, there were a lot of things that I wanted to ask, but by the time I got to the end, I might have forgot those. So I'm going to try to stay on the slides, but again, I'm going to teach my kind of style with their content, and so you're going to see beside me this board where I'm going to walk through what I think is foundational for you to really take away something today that you can use. And that's really breaking down the buyers that you're going to deal with or the seller's personality. So we're really going to dive into that today. So we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about who is a lead and how do you classify it. Okay, so who is a lead? Anybody that is ready, willing, and able to buy. And so there's some things that you should consider, such as A, B, and C buyers. You may meet somebody that is not ready to buy right now, but that doesn't mean that they're not a lead. It just means that they're probably a B or C buyer or seller for later. I'll tell you, there are tons of stories that I'm going to tell you here today where if you drop the ball, that's okay. Well, realtors, we do that. And I can show you how you can still fix it if you have a client from 4 years ago that you completely forgot to reach back out to, right? I think we find that in our businesses when we're looking at who's a lead, sometimes we don't pay attention to, it's not necessarily are they a hot lead, but who could be a lead. The other things I want you to think about is, what do you do consistently? So for example, do you go to the same gym? Do you get your hair done at the same place? Do you know everybody at the dentist that you know? Think about those places because those people could be a lead as well. For me, anytime that I'm in a place consistently, like for example, Dry Bar, I go there, I love to go there when we're doing professional photos. I know everybody that's at that salon. I know if they currently own a home, if their family is renting, where they live. I know their family situation. Are they growing? Things like that. Because at the end of the day, I want that relationship to come back to, if they think about buying, selling, or investing, they think Kymberly. Who in here wants to make more money? Right. Nobody ever has enough of it. I think that's what we found. The other thing that I would tell you is, a lot of the times, the one thing you should be doing, which is follow-up, is the one thing that will continue to make you more money. So in order to make more money, you need more leads. And one of the things that we know as real estate agents is if you don't have leads, you don't have any business. And so when you're looking at that, one thing that we tend to do is we tend to be looking at right now business, but not going for the next business. So my team will be the first to tell you that we might have 8 buyers at a time. They're super excited, you know, they're working with these 8 buyers, but they have 6 or 7 B buyers, which means they're not ready to buy right now, or if they found the right house, they would move, and they're not paying attention to them. So what do you think happens if they drop the ball on the B buyers? They quickly will buy with somebody else. It happens all the time, right? So you need to make sure that whenever you're looking at making more money, that you're making time on your schedule for how you're going to follow up. So one of the big things I'll tell you when we're talking about how to lead convert is you have to put into your schedule 2 hours a day to lead generate. And lead generation cannot be text message only. That is such a bad idea. Lead generation cannot be at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. every day. Why? We have tons of online leads that come in that are second shift at Toyota. Does anybody know what time those people go to sleep? 9 a.m. So if you text or call them from 9 to 11 every day, you're never going to get that lead. And the reason is because you're not thinking about why are they not answering at the same time. So we have a little bit of a different program in our office and the way we do things, where we're going to follow up at different times for 5 to 7 days. And so, you know, I'd like for you guys to tell me, what are you struggling with when it comes to leads? Sorry, I might have jumped ahead. When it comes to lead conversion, because I'd like to be able to know exactly what you need and what you're trying to get out of this class. If you could tell me kind of, is it you can't get the leads to call you back? They don't want to buy because of the market. If you can give me an idea when it comes to lead generation, is it just that you're not making the time for it, or you don't know how to lead generate. Anybody have like a, I'd say there's so many ways to lead generate. Anybody believe in social media right now? Because I'll tell you, I'm a Tom Ferry coaching person, and when I go to these events and they tell me they're pulling in 100 deals a year from Instagram, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, how do I get that together, right? So there's so many ways in the industry that we're in today. You don't even have to be sitting at the desk making phone calls for it to be considered lead generation, right? People call you. Are you making content, right? If you guys follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you notice that I always have batch content. What that means is it looks like that I'm constantly recording, but what you should know is that I'm not. I'm sitting in front of a camera for 4 to 8 hours, 1 day a month, shooting it all out, and then I have a VA who's actually doing all the edits behind me, and he's pushing it out for 30 days. I'm changing outfits about 6 or 7 times so that you believe I'm recording every day, but really I'm not. So how can you still lead generate and not be actually there? That's one way, right? Thinking outside of the box. Past clients, that's a big one. I tell you when we're looking at lead generation is you should be loving on your past clients. I'm going to tell you a story. I could say this because I have a listing contract signed. So I have a client from 4 years ago. I've been in the business a little over 4 years. She was a fabulous client, but let's just be honest, I was nowhere near the negotiator I am today than I am today. And so on their deal, it's so funny. I hope they see this and they laugh because I keep telling this story. I didn't negotiate. Anybody know on the windows, the little spring that's like $25? I swear it's like $25. And the seller had said they would fix it, and they didn't, because that happens sometimes, right? You get to the final walkthrough and like, oh, we forgot that. Can we give you $5 for it, right? Like, that's what happened. And I was a new agent, and I didn't want to negotiate. So what I said was absolutely, hey, I'll give you this amount of money to make it right. Well, my client wasn't happy because they felt like at the end of the day I was not negotiating, right? So what do you think happened? Because I knew I did kind of a just okay job and I was a new agent. I didn't follow up with them. I didn't keep that relationship. Last year I get a phone call and they say, hey Kymberly, you're not going to believe this, and by the way, we're so sorry. I'm like, oh, this doesn't go well. They're like, we bought another house. We bought a farm out in Winchester. And listen, we called Zillow. No offense to you, we absolutely love you. We didn't even think about you. We called Zillow, and I'm like, oh, it's probably my fault, right? So they called Zillow, they're under contract. I said, but hey, we want you to sell our home. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So who did you use to buy your home? They're like, well, this is who we used, and but we really want you to sell our home. We know that you're the best. I'm like, okay. So I could have been mad. Actually, I was real mad because they were selling a way less expensive home than they bought. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go in. And I did the best job I could as now an established agent who has continued to learn throughout my entire career. I sold that home for over asking, and I continued to keep on that relationship. They had a baby 6 months ago. I think he's about 6 months. I continued to send gifts. I continued to remind them of how important they are to me, because what had happened was when I made a mistake, instead of just being better and getting better, I let it go, right? Today, next Friday, if anybody knows, that house that they bought with somebody else is coming back on the market, and they're looking for a new home because they have a new baby and don't want that farm anymore. So that 3-bedroom, 3-bath, I will list, and we will buy them another one. So the point of that is to understand that a lead isn't just one person and one deal. That person has sent me tons of business since I made it right. The other thing I'll tell you is that something as small as sitting and sending birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, client events, that's how you get your business. And so if you're thinking all you have to do is cold call or door knock, you should not have been doing this 4.5 years. I have a team that we sell over 100 homes a year. I have never door knocked a neighborhood except for when I was on a team, and that only lasted 32 days, right? Because it wasn't my style. So whatever your style is for lead generation, you do what makes you get business and creates you being able to connect with the people you want to connect with. If somebody knocks on my door and asks me to sell my home, I'm not going to be very nice, right? Not saying that that's not what you should do, but for me, if I feel that way, I'm probably not the best person to knock on the door, right? So, let's see if I missed anything in this slide.
Oh, I think I missed you again because
I'm like, I don't know what this slide is.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. Thank you so much.
That's right.
Do you want me just to click it?
No, it was my fault.
Okay.
You're good now.
how to get the appointment, because how many people in here do online leads? So I can kind of have an idea of the room that we're in and what you need to know. A lot of people. Okay, great. So I'm going to focus on that. If there's a question that you have that's in a different area, such as, I know, Will, you do a lot of sphere and people that you know, not necessarily online leads, but I also know you're really good at online leads. So if there's anything like that, feel free to ask me. How do you get the appointment? So over the last 4 years, I have tremendously changed how I ask for the appointment. I've also learned that time is money. And so I want to talk about that. How many people get, let's say, realtor.com, Zillow call, something like that, and they answer, "Hi, this is Kymberly with Valor Homes team. I see that you want to see 123 Main Street. I'll meet you there at 5 o'clock. How many people do that? Okay? How many people ask them, that's okay, you can be honest. Listen, how many people ask them if they're pre-approved on the phone? Stop asking them. Would you give your social security number over the phone? Because that's what you're asking when you say they're pre-approved. Now here's what you should know. There's a ton of ways to do this. You could go talk to a million other people who would say time is money and they're not showing a house unless they're pre-approved. By the way, if you're not going to do that, please take down my phone number right now and call me when you get that lead. Because I promise you, they will not only buy 1, but up to 4 houses with me in the next 3 to 4 years, because you didn't take the time to build a relationship with the person, which was way more important than making sure they were qualified. I tell you this because Zillow's 5% conversion is top Zillow. My team has a 42.5% conversion rate. All the time I go to conferences, people are like, "Show me." I'm like, "I'll pull it up. I can show you." I can show you how making it about a relationship will change your life in the people that you meet. So when we first started off, we would say exactly kind of what I'd say. "Hey, this is Kymberly Clem with Valor Homes team. You know, it looks like you want to see 123 Main Street. What's a good time for you to get in and see this home?" Our goal was only to set that appointment. Well, guess what? We were setting a lot of appointments and we became crazy busy. So we no longer could give them the option to decide when we were going. So now we say, "Hey, this is Autumn with Valor Homes team. I see that you want to see 123 Main Street. Are you available at 3 or 5 today?" We take control of our schedule. We know that, hey, we're not out of the office at this time. The other thing that we've done today that is going to help you and save you lots of time, because somehow agents feel like they should be using Zillow as showing assistant, is you're going to ask them, are there any other homes that they've seen or would like to see in that area that you can show them at the same time? And I promise if they've got an agent, they're going to tell you right there. Because they're going to say, "Well, we've already seen X, Y, and Z. And you're going to say, "Well, when did you see those homes? And do you mind if I ask who showed you them?" And when they say that, and they say, "Well, we have an agent," don't say, "Okay, great, have a good day." Because guess what? If they're calling Zillow, what did their agent not do? And here's the part where, one, a Facebook recording, and you're either going to love me for this part or hate me, and that's okay because that's my personality. If you're not doing your job and your clients don't know not to call Zillow, you're not doing your job. None of my clients are going to pick up a phone and call Zillow and ask you to show them a home. Oh, but that one, right? And fair to say that I'm standing here saying that one that did it, I did not do my job, right? So when that comes in, I want to talk about a lot of things that go into how do you get the appointment. The first thing you need to do is you need to follow their personality, right? And so does everybody in here know what the DISC is? DISC. By the way, I used to sit in these seats and people would talk about it. Well, my face was just like yours, right? Because I used to sit in these seats and I'm like, people were like, "Hey, you're a high D." I'm like, "Great." And then all they told me was dominant. They didn't tell me that there's all these other things that I could be, because you hear DISC, and as an agent, you're like, "That doesn't help my business." But it actually does, because all of your buyers and sellers are one of these. And so we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about, like, what are the personalities? Has anybody ever got on the phone with somebody and they already knew, like, oh, they're going to be a lot? They're probably a high D. They probably are all about, you know, being able to conquer, control the situation, win the conversation, right? When you're converting these people, you should know that they are all about the numbers and the money. You cannot be the hero with the D's. You cannot be, because at the end of the day, they're the hero of their own story, and that's okay, but you need to adjust on that phone call to get in front of them. So I'm going to give you an example. Somebody calls in, "Shelby, can I borrow you?" I know. So, ring. Okay. Hold on. Autumn, can I borrow you? Ring.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Hello.
Hi, is this Autumn? looking at 123 Main Street. Did you want to set up a time to see that house today?
Yes, I want to see it at 3 p.m. today.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, Autumn, is I'm gonna reach out to the sellers and make sure that 123 Main Street works for them. Why did I not say I'm going to reach out to the seller's agent? Because the moment you say I'm gonna reach out to the seller's agent, what is that buyer or seller gonna do? They're like, well, I can call them myself. What's the number? You never imply that you're not connected directly to the seller. I'm not saying that I'm not, but I'm still gonna reach out to the seller's agent, which they're gonna reach out to the seller to make sure that time works for them, right? So you're never going to jump that, and you want to make sure that you let them imply whatever they want, right? So, okay, well, unfortunately, it looks like that slot is already available. Why am I doing that? Because I already have a 3 o'clock. You want to know what I've heard some agents do on Zillow? You know, I've got a hair appointment at 3 o'clock and I'm not going to, they don't care. They're going to hang up on you. They're going to call the next agent who doesn't have a hair appointment and they're going to come to that showing with somebody else. But if you tell them, unfortunately, the sellers already have an appointment at 3 o'clock, would 5 o'clock work for you? Who do they feel like they're accommodating? The sellers. And they're like, man, people when they want a house, they are so nice. Till we get in the negotiation phase, right? All of a sudden they hate the house and the seller should be bowing down. But honestly, when they call in, right, they're very much like, hey, listen, absolutely, whatever the seller wants, we'll accommodate. We could do 6:30, right? They're so nice. That's 100%. One of the things I want to ask you to add in now is asking them if you can see any other homes. Because how hard is it to make a connection in one house when you have 30 minutes? Autumn, how much has your conversion rate went up from what it was already at now that you're showing them multiple homes right away? A lot. We're able now to take them from one home to the next home. Guess what we're doing in between taking them from one home to the next home? We're getting them pre-qualified. Because now we've already been in 2 houses with them. We already know that they have kids or they don't have kids. We already know all of their situations, so now we can say, oh, by the way, do you have a lender? Oh, by the way, do you understand the price difference in this 285 and this 350, right? Those are some things that all come with making sure on our team we have very different personalities, right? So if you meet Ashley, we call her like just the sweetest human ever, like loves everybody, right? Autumn, very fierce negotiator, right? And if you look at how they're trained, they're very different. They have very different personalities. It's the same with your buyer. Autumn and Ashley joke and say, please don't send Kymberly to a first-time home buyer. Like they joke, right? Because I show up and I'm like talking to you about investment homes, waiting to buy your second, and they're like, Kymberly, they haven't even bought their first. You probably shouldn't send me to a first-time home buyer, right? But if you send Ashley to a flip, she's calling me like this thing is gonna fall down, and I'm like, actually, it just needs a little lipstick, right? And she's like, no, Kymberly, like they should not buy this home, and I'm like, for the right deal, we can get this home, right? Like you need to match yourself to your client. So when we're talking about influence people, right? How many people get an online lead and they're super high toned, but your personality is super calm? So they're like, hi, good morning, how are you today? But really this is kind of how you talk. I'm not telling you to change who you are, but I am telling you to meet them where they're at. If I call you, I am loud, I am energetic, like this is me. If I call you and you sound like this, I'm gonna be like, man, it's a rough day for them today. Like maybe I should call them tomorrow. Because your tone is at this level. You don't sound excited. You don't sound like you want to sell houses. You sound like you woke me up out of bed. The agents always joke, Zillow calls come in at 8 a.m. on vacation. Or say everybody agrees? Yes, vacation. When you're going at 8 a.m., right? You're in Las Vegas. You're like, oh gosh. Then the call comes in. You better answer it. Autumn jokes all the time. She's like jumping out the shower, kind of, hello, good morning. You need to find that. When we're looking at the eye, I want you to understand that scripts are so important. Anybody in here do scripting or role playing? If you don't, I can't tell you how important it is. I know that once you learn something, you think, okay, I've got it. But I'll tell you, I myself have walked into a client's house and put my foot in my mouth and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I'm from a small country place, you know, and so for me, some of the words that might be offensive for people, like my parents threw around the house all the time, right? We'll have to remember which rooms am I in and what can I say and what can I not say. If you script practice with people, so for example, I'm going to put my agents on the spot because they had to come. So for example, one of the number one things that you should be having, fair to say, everybody tell me if I'm wrong, is how's the market? Everybody's so tired of that question. Reality is, do any of us know what's going to happen? No. Is the market kind of challenging right now? Yes. I went to a Tom Ferry conference and Phil Jones, if you don't know who he is, there's a book that's called Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones. I promise if you read that book, it is a game changer for you because he teaches you how to talk without, being ready to respond, but finding out what your buyer's needs are. And so he goes through this class throughout the call because he's basically pretending like he's on a call, and he basically is saying in this call, you should be asking them the questions they're getting because the person who asks the questions is the person in control. Fair to say, right? So when somebody asks me, how's the market? The first thing I tell them is, Autumn.
Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest?
Why should you ask that question? Do not say yes when somebody says, hey, should I buy a home right now? Well, it depends. If you're looking for a rental, we got a whole lot of conversations to have because at the end of the day, with interest rates as high as they are, it's going to be really hard to be able to cover what you own on it and then be able to make a profit for taxes and all the upkeep. If you're looking to invest, it's a different conversation because if we found the right house could flip it and you're not planning on keeping it, different conversation. And if you're looking to buy, if you ask me, I'd say, man, we are making moves because sellers want to sell and they're watching social media and they believe it's coming down. Listen, it's not. Fair to say that we all are selling houses still. It's not coming down, but people believe what's online. So whenever we ask them, hey, it depends. Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? We already kind of push them back a little bit to where they're like, okay. Most of the time they're going to say they're buying, and we're going to say, hey, it's a challenging market. But let me explain how you get to choose your heart. If you've been an agent for under 3 years, raise your hand. Okay. The Shift by Gary Keller. If you have not read that book, I promise, fair to say they should read it. It is an unbelievable book that will teach you what this new market that we're going into. I've only been an agent 4.5 years, so I know a lot of people would be like, well, how many markets have I seen? Before, fair to say, you remember this, it was a normal market. You broke 3 offers, you got 1 accepted, and then if you dealt with the last 2 years, you broke
Like 20 offers.
20 offers. I remember one time Autumn called me, she's like, hey, I need you to write this offer because I'm going into this showing, and oh, by the way, 2 other people just sent in an inspection request. It was crazy. Then you had to tell people to pay $20,000 over what a house was worth. So choose your heart. Now you have to explain to them that, hey, listen, this is what we're going to do temporarily, and the only thing that should matter is what?
That they get the home they love.
For what? What's the number one factor in buying a home?
For the right price.
For the monthly payment, right? The monthly payment they're comfortable with. So when you're dealing with influence, I want you to know these people are all about relationships.
We have some shift books available here in the office if you want them. Just so you guys know.
100% buy it. I got it when we went to the KW conference. It was fabulous. They read it in like 4 days and they all came back and were like, oh my gosh, this was the best book that we've read. Because it will also teach you that if you're struggling right now, I promise 90% is your mindset. You are not surrounding yourself in the right places with the right people that will help you understand that you get to decide how many houses you're going to sell this year, not the market. Because I promise we're putting under easily 6 to 11 deals every month. And it all comes from you understanding the market, because as we're going to talk about later, you need to be able to explain it to them, right? They expect you to be the expert. So high D's. So let's talk about when you meet somebody who's a know-it-all. Let's just be honest. How hard is it to convert somebody who's like, actually, I've been watching since 2008, and oh, by the way, they're looking at me thinking I'm not even old enough to understand what happened in 2008. Fair to say? You know, I joke and say Autumn, some of her challenges that she had is that she's younger. So when she shows up, how does she get them to, take her serious and believe her? Well, she has the facts. She literally can talk, and when she talks, you understand that our team sells over 100 homes a year, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how young she is on fire with education. Ashley, she's been an agent for a year on the team, but actually been licensed 8 months? How many houses have you sold in 8 months? 17 homes in 8 months. And by the way, she has a full family, she has kids in way too many activities, no offense. But like she's doing that, right? Brand new agent coming out the gate, and that's what she sold. And so when you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, how are we going to convert more? You have to be able to change yourself to the client, or you have to be able to come together with somebody that's like them. And I truly believe in this. That's why every agent on my team is so different. There is nothing really that's similar. The other thing I want you to know is that I can be a chameleon, except for first-time home buyers at this point. Like I'm really scared of them. So, but that's just because you can overwhelm them. So going into the conquer, control, win. When a lead comes in and they're a know-it-all, let them be it. Let them believe what they feel. Let's say that somebody calls you and they said, hey, we've heard this. Acknowledge it. Hey, I completely understand how you could feel like the market's crashing. Would it be beneficial if I could show you some numbers and things that's going on in the market to show you what might make you feel different? Am I telling them actually you're wrong? No, because if you tell somebody who calls in that, they're going to be super defensive and you lost them. But if you say, hey, I completely understand why you feel, and by the way, if you don't script and you'd like scripts, you can message me after this. I have tons of scripts. I have a full Valid Homes Team University where all of my agents have the opportunity to train through this program. And basically, over 4 years, we've created this massive training program where you have scripts of, I'm a Tom Ferry in coaching with Tom Ferry. So we have tons of things that will help you in no matter what market you're in. So there's a different objection in each market, and I have those written down, and we can walk through those. If you're looking for a scripting partner, I highly suggest that you tap into the KW, because I can tell you, even sitting in this room right now, Will fabulous, Shelby fabulous, right? I know that if I had them stand up, even though they're like, don't do that, I'm not going to, they won't come back to my class ever again. But I know that if I did, they could roll off easily with how to be able to change to that person. The other thing I want you to do is give high D's options. So for me personally, I kind of joke with them and I say, hey, just pretend like it's me there. Who in here wants to level up their price point on online leads? Because I'll tell you, man, I was at, I think, $250,000 for my first year and a half, and I was working 3 times harder than the last year, except for the last week. I don't know what's going on. But for the last year, we've been at 285 to 365 and above only. We really haven't been at that lower price point. Well, people say, hey, how do you level up? I'll tell you, put yourself in the rooms that might not make sense. So I want to sell horse farms. I know what it's like. I don't want to hear this conversation on. So I went to sell horse farms. So what did I do? I started riding at Whispering Hills. I started finding myself in the rooms. By the way, I bought a horse 3 weeks ago, right? Super excited. So I put myself in rooms with all these horse people. Guess what I'm listing next Friday? A horse farm, right? You don't have to spend money to still build relationships with people that you want to work with. When I was a brand new agent, a lot of people don't know, I can't golf to save my life. I joke and tell people all the time that you don't have to see the struggles it took for me to get here today at the level I'm at, but I promise I did them. And I had no money. Most of you know I was active duty. I came home from 2018, and I want you to know that I had no money. I was living off an $11,000 credit card, and I told myself I was going to make it. So if money is what's stopping you, you should know you don't need it to get leads. You can literally go sit at Harry's, where you and I both know everybody goes for lunch every day of the week, it feels like. You can meet people and talk to people. I met a pharmacist over there once. He bought a house from me. He literally was sitting at the bar next to me at Harry's one day for lunch. Who do you know, and how can you use that as a lead generation that doesn't cost you anything? So, when we go to these conferences, people tell me all the time, like, well, we don't have thousands of dollars to spend on Zillow or Realtor.com. That's okay. You're telling me you don't have a camera, or you can't buy a camera, and you can't make social media posts, and oh, by the way, you should know that when I attend these events, the difference in the people that are making it and not is that they're just doing it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to do it, right? So when dealing with a high D, just remember that. I need you to remember that they want options. And so, coming back to this, just to try to stay on this slideshow that I'm supposed to talk about, I want you to dominate scripts, because if you're dealing with a personality that's very much like mine, where I'm like, okay, give me the facts. Do you know your market? If you are not getting up every day looking at what is on the market, what's new, what hasn't sold, if you haven't done actual showings in neighborhoods to learn the market, how are you the expert? If you're doing an open house and you don't know, when Will came in and said, hey, by the way, I know you have this new listing here. Just so you know, I just sold this house one straight over. This is how much it went for. If you're not communicating with other agents and making sure that you're the market expert, you literally are going to show up like every other agent, walk in, hand them a seller's disclosure, and maybe a door opener. But if you walk in and you say, hey, I'm just going to use your name, Autumn. So if I'm like, hey, Autumn, did you notice that there was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a couple days ago on, but it went super fast. So I do believe this one is going to go fairly fast. Or the best is when it's not, right? I showed a house yesterday. She's like, hey, I think it's going to be multiple offers. I'm like, it's been on the market 60 days. I think we're kind of far off from that, right? One of the #1 things that, Shelby, you know about me is I'll be the first one to be like, I don't know why we came up with the math on this price point, right? Fair to say that people love when you're honest. I'm not saying anything bad about that listing agent. I'm telling them what the market says. If it's been on the market for 60 days, you want to know how you converted me? You tell me what's wrong with the home. If when I open that door, you start selling me, how many people go to let's just use Dillard's, and you walk in, here comes the people. They're like, excuse me ma'am, can I help you? And you don't know where you're going. You don't know where the item that you're looking for is, but what do you say?
I'm fine.
No, I'm good, just looking, thanks so much. Like, actually I'm fine, I don't need your help, right? We all say it. And then 5 minutes later you're like, excuse me ma'am, because nobody wants to be sold to, right? Nobody wants to be sold to. So, when a buyer walks in the door, please don't tell them how much you love it. They don't care. They're expecting you to do what every other person does and tell them how much you love it. And they don't care. Here's what you should be asking. Do you mind if I ask where you currently live? Why does that matter? Because you need to find out their why. I'm going to go back to this. She's like, you're not following the slide.
I'm loving it.
I know. Well, I'm not following the slides, but I promise I'll come back. So, you need to know their why. You need to understand why is it that they came to this house. You need to find out if they're just hanging out on Sunday because this is what they do, right? You need to find out their motivation. You need to find out, do they have a lease? If they're currently have a lease, you need to find out, because just because they think they want to start looking now, if they don't have a lease that ends until February and they want to wait, whose time are you wasting right now looking in August? Everybody's, right? And you need to have standards, and we're going to talk about that later on. I'm going to make sure I cover the slides for KW for the dummy and then let me teach another class. So steadiness. So we have DISC is D-I-S-C. So influence is I, D is dominance. They really have like that conquer, control, win. Steadiness. So anybody ever get I'm going to talk about buyers, but it can be sellers too, who basically are kind of like, I might make a bad decision. I'm not 100% sure that I should buy in this market. Or they're super scared of what might be a bad decision. So they're like, we're going to wait. Gosh, when I hear that, anybody else in here like, we're going to wait? That's what everybody says. And guess what happens when the interest rates come down? What's going to happen? Everybody that was going to wait is now going to be in a position where we're back in a multiple offer. I wrote 3 offers this weekend for one of my clients. Guess how many we won? 0. And I want you to know I'm a good negotiator. I can't help that it got multiple offers after a price drop. It's actually still happening. People think I'm lying. I'm like, I have a super squared away buyer, and I promise you, if the person will take a price drop, we'll be back in a multiple offer situation. How do you make that clear? So when you're dealing with somebody who wants to make sure that they're not going to make a decision, what do they usually want? They want time, right? But what do we know about real estate? Time kills all deals. It is 100% time kills all deals. I want you to know that sometimes you bluff them out. I'll just be honest. I'm like the best agent at that. I'll tell you all day long, this is my bottom number. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. And guess what happens 95% of the time? You call me in 2 weeks because you're real estate agent, or the seller decides actually that was a good offer and I want to take it. I better hope my clients haven't you are to your clients, if you know the numbers, because I know the market, it's going to help you find them a house faster. And we can dive in on another class about if you want to learn how to get off market properties, which we've been doing really good at, because how many people do you think actually market around their listings? They don't. And how can you benefit, by the way, it doesn't cost you any money, from somebody else's listing? How many people sell in that neighborhood after one sales? I promise you 3 or 4 go up every time, like it's nothing, right? So coming back and looking at, the steadiness and converting, keep in mind that you want to gather as much information because they're all about safety, and so they want to make sure that you've heard them loud and clear. And so, for example, if somebody says to you, hey, listen, I don't want to buy a house because the market's bad. Okay, so get past the market is bad problem, and they'll probably buy a house. One of the things we're dealing with today, and you guys tell me if you're dealing with it as well, is people can't afford it. Like, honestly, it's like they want a $1,600 or $1,800 monthly payment, but let's be honest, that's not really the house they want, right? So what do you do in those situations? It's really hard. I mean, we're struggling with that with a few clients. And I'll be honest, we don't want them to just buy anything. So we're like, we understand. Like, there's no get around that conversation, right? But help them make a decision, and if they need to wait, put them on a follow-up plan so that you can. These people, I think, are the most common people who call in on Zillow. I think that we do find Zillow, online leads, realtor.com. I think it's more people who don't know. They don't know how Zillow works. They don't know how that whole agency works, who pays who. I think it's our job just to educate them. And so if you know how to educate them on the process, it'll be a lot easier for you to convert these people. And I would say, fair to say, this is probably about 50% of the online leads coming in. So I know we were kind of talking about online leads. These are your worrisome people that if you give them the facts, you can convert them in 7 to 10 days and see that results. Okay, the last people are compliant. So they're very detail oriented. Usually these, in my opinion, are going to be the doctors, the people that are thinking too much into it. And the question I would ask you is, do you know the price point difference on a $325,000 and a $350,000? If you don't, you should find a lender. Kyle Green is fabulous with the public. You should find a lender, and at the end of the day, you should be able to say, hey, listen, you're looking at a $285,000 home. I use Starbucks because just so you know, I'm never giving it up, but maybe I would one day if I needed the right house. I say, what could you give up for $25 a month to be able to live in a home that you absolutely love, right? It's a real thing. People come in with a hard number and they'll say, Shelby, I want $1,800 a month. But you know they can go to $1,850 for the house that they love. So I always tell them, can you bear with me on a little bit of flexibility? And can you understand that how many people in here have lost a deal over like $5,000? I mean, it's nuts, right? You're like $5,000 away from a seller selling a home and a buyer buying a home. How do you negotiate that? We just had a deal go on, and you should know that I'm a big fan of fight for your commission. We don't cut our commission, but you should also know that I'm not going to stop somebody from getting a home over $2,000 of my money, because I am not the bigger picture, they are. And so we just had a deal where honestly neither party could budge because it was such a short sale where they had just bought the property and they were barely covering realtor costs. So what did we do? We got creative. The other agent and us worked together. It's under contract. Both parties are happy. Like, how do you decide when you do that, right? So don't miss the small things. Listen, I know Shelby's like, here she goes. I'm very big on, you don't know who you're meeting that first time. Please don't show up comfortable. And what I mean by that is I want you to be yourself. I want you to be your authentic self. That's what everybody's going to tell you on all the influencers and social media that go on and on. But I also want you to understand that if I can't tell who the real estate agent is, that's a problem. If I don't know who to hand the key to, that's a problem. You're supposed to be a professional and they're trusting you to sell a $350,000 home. I need you at least on the first meeting to show up dressed to the part. You should know that in the last year, I have not worn heels. I have been in suits and tennis shoes the entire time, and I love it. Because I'm still dressed to the part, but I'm still dressed telling them, hey, your business is important to me. Other things that you should know is that people don't understand exactly how Zillow works. So on the first one, I highly suggest that you bring the seller's disclosure as well as the printout of the information. One, because my question is, did you actually read it and do you know about the house that you're showing them? should. You should also know are there any other homes available in the area, as well as you should be ready to answer any questions they have on school district. So you should know this, right? I'm a big fan of, if they ask me is it a preferred school district, I really go straight to the website. I say, hey, there's tons of Georgetown moms or Lexington groups I can add you in. Well, you can do a poll on your own and decide what you love. Try to stay away from that stuff. Body language, right? People ask me all the time, like, how are you so confident? All you have to do is know the material, know the address, know the seller's disclosure. If you know the information, fair to say that everybody shows up like, I got this. You got a whole new pep in your step, but if you showed up 4 minutes before the showing, not sure if the lockbox is gonna work, you don't have anything with you, you already are a hot mess, and you're trying to figure out how you're gonna wing it, and oh, by the way, they've been here for 15 minutes. Right? You already lost if that's how you show up. So whenever you're looking at converting, sometimes people miss the small stuff. They miss the fact that you should show up like the professional. I cannot tell you that. I know people are like, I'm best friends with them and we go to, okay, great. If you know them, they're at your kid's school and you can have that relationship. But I'll tell you this, I've taken a lot of those people's clients because those people show up in yoga clothes, and when I show up, they're like, well, you know, I'm working with my best friend, and like, she'll kill me when she finds out, guess what? They bought that actually happened. They bought 2 investment homes with me because the difference was their business was not a transaction to me. It was understanding how much of a difference it would make on their lives. That is what you need to show up. The other thing you should know is, you should know that you cannot show up and not understand the financials of a home. Like, that's a big deal. So a lender should be like your go-to partner. We literally have the best lender. You know, I called him last night. We had somebody for what time was it? 10:45. Don't do that to your lender. Don't do that to Cal, by the way. Don't do that to Cal. But seriously, like, I called him at 10:45 because these people worked second shift at Toyota last night. They saw the house at 9 a.m. this morning. So actually just showed them the house at 9 a.m. Fair to say they'll probably be under contract by noon. Do you have the hustle? Are you setting a schedule? A lot of people are waiting on these leads to come to you. They're not going to just come to you. You're going to have to get out there and work for it. You know, in this market, you're going to have to double down. Go back to the basics. We are doing stuff that I've never done in my entire career because I'm at these conferences and they're saying, hey, mailers, emails, they work. I haven't emailed campaigns or anything like that the whole time I've been an agent, but I promise you, there are people out there that are using email campaigns and picking up over 65 sellers a year. Like, unbelievable. Who wants 65 more sellers a year? Like, amazing, right? And they're doing this, you know, this is, let's see if there's another slide, Lexi. They've been on chicken on it. Oh yeah, look. I had to talk about that.
I think you're killing it. So.
Okay, listen, I'm not a slides person. Sorry, I'm like my board person. Everybody in is like, yeah, with the pen and paper. So, you know, the biggest thing I'll tell you as a new agent, how many people were so nervous that they were going to say something until you wait to respond? You're like, hi, how are you? This is the best. As new agents, we record their Zillow calls. Actually, Zillow records all of you. And so we actually listen to them back with everybody, which is not fun. But at the end of the day, it helps you grow, right? So, you know, this is how they answer in the beginning. Hi, this is Ashley with Valley Homes Team. How are you today? Good, good. So you want to see, they didn't even say, I'm great. How are you? Thank you for asking. Nothing. Like, stop. This is your breathing. Sometimes if you get a call, is it fair to say that they're like, we're calling to find out about the subfloor and the bed, and you're like, I'm driving. I have no clue what listing they're calling about. Remember that most of your online leads understand that you're human. And what are you going to say? Hey, listen, I can't remember that listing off the top of my head. What was your name again? Hey, just want to let you know, Irene, I'll call you back in 10 minutes with all that information as soon as I get to my office. Does that work for you? They're like, absolutely, right? And I'm going to pull up that listing that I have no clue whose listing it is or any of the information, figure it out, and then call them back, right? So that was one of the things as a new agent is, I thought I needed to know everything. There are still times I'm standing in a house and I'm like, this is outside of my expertise. I don't know, but I'm going to find out for you. So one of the biggest things I would also tell you is if you build a relationship, that's most of the time all they need, right? How do you build the relationship? Biggest thing I would say is find a connection. For me, that's what I love to do. Is anybody in here dealing with something like, for Autumn, she was really young. You know, she started with us, I think she was 20 when she started with us. So she was 20 when she started with us, and You know, she has an amazing story that I'll let her tell one day, but she has an amazing story. Why not use it? I mean, she has overcome stuff at a 20-year-old that none of us in here today have overcome, you know? And I tell her all the time, you should be so proud. Like, it doesn't matter that when you walk into a room, somebody's judging you for how old you are. Like, walk in and tell them who you are and what you know. So, when you're dealing with stuff online, can I use you, Will? Because we're friends, I know Will. Will's told me some of his things. So, for example, Will really wanted to work with people he liked, know, and trust, right? Well, half of them didn't know he was a realtor. I'm like, Will, go tell everybody. Send them an email, send them a text, right? Tell everybody, hey, by the way, when you want to buy, sell, or invest, like, I'm a real estate agent, you know? How much business have you picked up since you started telling people that you were a realtor? I mean, it's crazy. He's about to quit his job because he's got so much business. By the way, excited? Excited? Coming, just bought a brand new truck. Guess what he did? He told people he was a real estate agent. How many people are that incognito you think everybody knows and you don't want to call them and be salesy? At the end of the day, I call people, I don't call them, tell them I'm a real estate agent. I call them and say, hey, how's your kid doing? Like, how's school, right? You have to be intentional with that. When looking at the forward, they do family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I think that's really important. I think that, you know, the biggest thing is make a connection. You can make a connection. You know, I tell Ashley all the time, she's a mom, so most of the people that we meet, they have kids. That's the quick connection, right? We joke and say Ashley's car is the cleanest person's car I've ever seen in my life, and she has kids. Like, that's a real thing. When you get in her car, you're like there's nothing, and you have kids. Meanwhile, if you get in my vehicle, like, you might be able to get in, because there's so much stuff that we gotta toss it all in the back of the Cadillac, right? So find something that's funny, because fair to say, Ashley, the moment that you can get them to laugh or loosen up with you, you're already in the door. Yeah. It's all about understanding. Does anybody have anything that they deal with and they're like, hey, you know, this is something that I don't know how to get around? That's putting me on the spot. But is there anything that you deal with, such as, like, you know, you just can't relate to them, or you feel like they don't answer your phone calls, like anything like that that anybody's dealing with?
Like that all the time.
They don't answer?
Yeah, you think things are going good on day one, and then, you know, by day 3 they're ghosting.
Yeah. Are you getting in front of them on day 1? Or are you just having like phone conversations when you lose them?
I'm always looking to get in front of them, because I think it's, once I meet them, once we hang out, you know, it doesn't happen as often, not nearly as often.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
if it's just a single showing, sometimes they disappear, because like you said, it's hard to make a connection on just, you know, just in a 30-minute span.
Yeah.
But if I can't get in front of them, more often than not, they disappear.
Absolutely. I would tell you 100%. If you don't get in front of them within 72 hours, you're not going to get them as a client. If you do get in front of them, if you can't get in front of them, I want you to have a longer conversation. The agents listen to me on recorded calls, they're like, that was like 7 minutes. Yeah, because I know that they live out of state, and my likeliness of connecting to them, because let's be honest, most of the leads that come in online are out of state or somebody's showing, or connect with somebody else. I would tell you that we still struggle with that as well. I would say that that first initial phone call is your one call to nail it. And so don't be afraid to ask more questions if you find out it might be harder to get in front of them. The other thing is, fair to say that sometimes you have them scheduled to get in front of them and the house goes pending.
Yep.
Man, when that happens, we're like, oh man, somebody found us another house like yesterday. Ashley's like, this sucks. Like, what do you do, Ashley, when that happens?
I find a comparable home in the same area.
And even if it's overpriced, what do you tell them? What if they can't hold in Ashley on a 250 and you want to show them a 285? And you know, most of the time people are like, it's 285. What do you tell them?
Yeah, it's been on the market longer. We got room to negotiate.
And guess what? Most of the time, do you think she really has room to negotiate because it's been on the market 4 days?
Yeah.
No. All she's trying to do is get in front of them. That's all she's trying to do, because if she gets in front of them, she will convert them. The hardest lead is the one you don't know. That's the hardest one. And so you have to figure out how to do it. The other thing I promise that has worked for us, we kind of dialed in and changed with the new switch in the market to how we're adjusting, calling at different times. Calling at different times. We were coming in every day 9 to 11, you know, cranking in, stuff like that. And then we started to realize, like, hey, this guy's second shift. No wonder he's not answering. He's not up till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he doesn't get home till 6 or 7 a.m., right? Understanding that about them, when you're going to bed at night at 9 p.m., shoot them a message. Hey, I have a ton of people, we use examples, I have a ton of people who work second shift at Toyota. I'm not sure if this applies to you or not, but just wanted to reach out and see if there's a convenient time that I could have the opportunity to tell you more how I can help you. The other thing is, give them an objective. So we say all the time, we'll say, hey, just want to make sure we can take you off our list of off-the-market properties. Are you no longer in the market? How offensive are they? They're like, no, we're still looking. Great. Actually, what are you looking for? Right? So give them the opportunity to say yes instead of no. Read exactly what to say. That's like the best look.
So my mom met with a guy, showed him a whole bunch of properties, was looking for a horse farm that he can like build up. Showed him a whole bunch of properties, found one that he like gonna just sit on it. Had to go to Florida for a horse thing. Since then, she's not been able to get in contact with him. He's opening her listing, like the emails when she sends him new listings. She'll call him, she'll send, like, all she can get from him is that he's still opening her emails, and that's all she can get from him.
So a few things to take in mind is right now it's actually a lot of the show season. So keep that in mind, is trying to keep up with the horse events. So I know right now that a ton of them are getting ready for Florida and Ocala and all of these things, right? So one, I would definitely keep in mind that he is super busy.
Yeah.
Because all of them are. And my text messages will probably be geared towards that. I don't expect you to respond. I just want to let you know I saw these properties and they made me think of you. Again, I know you're super busy. I can't wait to connect with you. I would just stay on
So
it.
that's what she's doing right now. I'm wondering if that was like.
That's absolutely, because here's the honesty part of it. We have clients that have done this, and we're like, well, they're not going to use us. Actually, just had this. She ignored her for like 5 months. Keep sending it. If you've already met them, you have nothing to lose.
And he's already signed the agreement.
Yeah, keep sending it, right? And then by the time he comes back, so let's say we know probably, I think March is when it really slows down and they all come back. So in that situation in March, I'd be like, hey, I don't want to continue bugging you. I just want to find out what months do you think will be closer to you coming back and things calming down for you, right? And then I would keep sending properties because when that one hits, that's the perfect deal that he loves and he's looking for, he's going to say, she's texting me every month. And, you know, we have a huge thing about your first 7 days of a lead follow-up. That's when you should really be following up. Your first 7 days are crucial. But you should be following up once every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how hot they are in communication. In that situation, I think like once every month.
Yeah.
If he's that busy.
The worrying thing was he was all coming in the Lexington Equine Community Group, and he like ghosted her. She's still sending him stuff, so like making those interactions and all that kind of stuff. And then somebody posted in the group, "Hey, I'm looking for essentially the same thing that he's looking for. Does anybody have anything?" And he commented on their following, and mom was like, I'm sending you everything. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like, and she was kind of worried that.
Did she already get him pre-approved?
I think he's like a cash buyer, so he doesn't need to be.
So there are a few things I'd tell you. One is don't spend time chasing somebody who doesn't value your time or even respect you enough to send a text message back. We're going to talk about that later. I'm very much like, I don't take every buyer or seller. If you don't respect my time, completely understand. I know I'm one of the best real estate agents, and at the end of the day, I want you to respect me that way. So I'll be honest, there is a part of it that I would tell them to do something different, right? Because you have to decide for them, they're a lot more patient in a year or 2 in than I am at 4.5 years while I'm doing so much business, right? And so I would tell you in that situation, I would set him on what I would call like a drip campaign and have it sending him properties, and then I would have on your CRM, I would have it text me once a month to say, just want to let you know, and that would be all the effort I would give him. Because there are too many people who already like, know, and trust her and want to do business with her that are waiting, and she's wasting time on him. If he buys, at the end of the day, she's already met him, built that relationship with him. If he's going to use her, he's going to use her. If he's not, move on. And I think that's one of the things, you know, I'll be honest with you, I probably should not say this on a recording, but I never get a buyer rep signed, right? I'm completely against it. I know every agent, I'm in the Tom Ferry Network, they tell me, you know, I'm going to burn myself down. I've been doing it 4.5 years. This is what I tell people. Listen, I want to let you know that if it's a good fit for you and a good fit for me, because I could leave here today and you might be a nasty person and I'm not going to work with you. I don't have to decide to work with you just because you called me. So if it's a great fit, I'd love the opportunity to help you. You don't have to sign anything with me today. By the way, Bo, don't kill me for this, but with me today. Want to let you know that the only thing I ask is if at any point this is not a good fit, can you send me a text message so I don't waste your time or mine? Can you shoot me a text and say, hey, I found somebody else that I feel like is more educated, and then I do this. It hasn't happened yet, but you might be the first. And that tells them I'm very confident in who I am, and I want you to understand, no matter what. Here's what I'll tell you. When I meet them, they know how a for-sale by owner works. They know that I will call and fiercely negotiate, right? I will 100% negotiate a for-sale by owner. They understand everything about how Zillow works. They understand what an off-market looks like, and they understand even if they find an off-market deal, I'm going to call Kymberly because she's going to know the numbers, because there's no professional involved without her, and we don't want the headache. You need to make sure they know that about you, right? Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah, I would just tell you, listen, there's so much business out here. Sometimes I see, sometimes I see agents that are fighting over like commissions, and I understand right and wrong, but I also believe if you're doing enough business, if you're out here building relationships every day, if you are building your book of business, you will never have to worry about the people who don't value you. You will never have to worry about them. You move on. I tell agents all the time, we have an app. If anybody does not have this app, please download it. It's called Forewarn, and it's Kendra will show everybody a picture of it afterwards because I know my accent's super strong. So she'll spell it all out and show you later. Here's what I'll tell you. If you have tenants, if you have buyers that you don't know, sellers that you don't know, you can put their phone number in. 99% of the time, you can pull up everything about them. You can know who their family is. I most of the time know what kind of car they're driving before they get there because it's the most recent one at the top. It can tell you everything about their background. I use this for all my tenants because Zillow might tell you they check it. They do not. I can show you where we did the difference, and it was like 6 felonies and Zillow said they were good, right? So you should be using this app for especially, no offense man, but especially women. Like when you're walking into these homes, you should understand that you need to use this app and you need to make sure that you know who you're meeting. If you put their name in and you don't feel comfortable meeting them, call somebody who does, or call them back and cancel. And I know that sounds crazy, but here's what I'll tell you is that people do have a past and that's okay. I can 100% be okay with your past as long as it wasn't 3 weeks ago. If you did police brutality 3 weeks ago, I'm not meeting you. I'm sorry, but like if you beat up a cop, you will beat me up, and I'm little, right? So you need to be aware of that, right? You also need to be aware of areas that aren't your expertise, and you need to call somebody else. I say that because before this year, I had no clue how to sell a horse farm. And I'll be honest, unless I was going to do the education and really learn how to do it, I was a disservice to my clients. So unless you're going to level up to it, don't take the listing. Take the high road, give it to somebody who's going to do your clients justice, and at the end of the day, I promise it will come back to you. And sometimes people will be like, well, that's crazy. To me, that's professionalism. That's understanding that, hey, I don't know how to do this and I'm not willing to take the time to learn it. I would take the time to learn it. By the end of the day, I'd be a horse expert. I know everything about it, right? You have to decide. So this is my favorite quote ever, and it's most agents know what's happening, good agents understand what's happening, and great agents can explain what's happening. This is the difference. I can stand here and teach you guys everything today that I'm doing to where we sell every year. Last year we sold right at 20 million. I think we're at 23 million this year, set to do 35. I want you to know I can teach you everything. The one difference is who's going to implement it. The one thing is who's going to go out and actually do something different in this market, because everybody has ideas. That's number one thing when I go to these conferences and I meet people and they're like, we'll tell you everything. They laugh and they tell me, I'm like, let's tell you the secrets, right? They're like, Kymberly, half of them aren't going to do it. Like, we told them how to do it, but most of them will not do it. So just keep that in mind, is that if you can do this, I mean, I can show you the numbers on how it will work. The other thing I would tell you is,
No,
I think there's a slide,
keep
okay?
going, you're good.
I did this off the slide, okay?
Okay.
So
I am not here to judge, I'm here to learn. So you just continue.
So, open discussions, right? For sellers. I want to talk about sellers for a minute, because if any of you guys are like me, you want the sellers. Because I want less time and more money. That's kind of where I'm at now, right? But in the beginning, you have to do the buyers. You do. Because you have to understand the concept of real estate and everything that goes into it before you can go convince a seller to sell their home. And I want you to think about that because, I have new agents, and when they come on my team, they're like, I'm going to be a listing agent. And I'm like, hey, come on. Tell me how much this home is worth right now. And they're like, well, I don't know. I have to look at Well, I don't know, I have to look at comps. Well, if you know the market on the buy side, if you can walk in a home and say, this is overpriced, then you can easily walk in and give me a $30,000 to $50,000 estimate on a home. And that is a good listing agent, right? Sometimes I get people that tell me, Will, we just did this. I gave Will a referral because the guy's like, hey, I don't trust you on this price. I think it should be listed at this. I'm like, well, sounds like you need a new realtor. Because if you don't trust me right now, how are you going to trust me when we get to the negotiations? And I refer it out to Will. He's a fabulous client, isn't he, Will? Guess what? Maybe you listen to Will. Maybe you just want to take advice from a woman, and that's okay, right? That's a real thing. Will, did he listen to you on price? Listen to Will on price. Will's got that listing going up next week, and guess what? At the end of the day, he's a happy seller, right? Decide who you're going to work with. Decide who's your niche. Anybody in here using social media, Facebook? Facebook groups are like a huge thing right now. I could do a whole class on that, on how many leads are coming from Facebook groups right now. Anybody else in here doing that? Like, is that where you're getting leads from? Facebook, anything like that? No, it should be. Facebook right now, man, when I go to these Tom Ferry conferences, they tell me all the time, you know, we pick this up. Instagram's actually a really big one too. You know, Instagram, people coming in. And the things I'll tell you that I'm learning from those are, I don't know how they get to them so fast. Anybody else see, like, looking for a realtor and there's like 75 people?
Yep.
You're like, what the heck? What were you doing? Sitting in front of your computer when they did that? No. They're actually smarter than that. They have AI working for them. That's a whole other class for another day, but if you are not using ChatGPT, you are failing yourself right now. I have agents on my team that text me and they're like, hey, what do I say to this? I'm like, did you ask ChatGPT before you texted me? Because at the end of the day, I promise you, ChatGPT is the smartest thing that's out there right now. And you can change it and adjust it to what you need, right? So ChatGPT, I promise you, sometimes I get sellers that will send me something that was like just crazy. I'll write back and tell ChatGPT, by the way, you need to understand how to do the prompt when dealing with people. I'll say, speak as a professional real estate agent. Advise this seller of this. Say it in a calm manner, but matter of fact. Guess what it does? The whole email, the whole text message, everything that I thought I needed to say, and it looks a lot prettier than what I would have said, because I would have added like a little attitude in it, right? Takes all that out. ChatGPT, there's a free one, doesn't cost you anything, or you can upgrade to the 4.0 for $20 a month. It's coming. If you're not ready to move with technology, get on board, because we're just getting better, right? I know, listen, I know what that's like. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with that, right? But I'm telling you, I could show you all the stuff that we're learning right now where, how many people in here hate making videos? Me too, listen. I have the thickest accent you're gonna meet, and sometimes I say horse, and people think I said something completely different. This is a real thing, like, but here's what I will tell you. When I walk into a conference out of state, people are like, you're Kymberly from Kentucky. I'm like, I am, how do you know me? They know my accent, they know my voice. I can be sitting at a table with 55 people, and they will say, you're Kymberly from Kentucky, because my voice is what they know. So even though you may hate taking video, listen, I'm not down to like the TikTok dances yet, I'm not there. I do love TikTok, but find your comfort zone. I just bought a green screen because I'm like, if I can just record in private, like maybe I'll get better at this, you know? But also don't watch yourself. Sometimes I think Leslie yesterday, she's like, hey, can you send me this video really quick? I'm like, okay, real quick. I did it, sent it, done. Didn't even look at it. She's like, oh, it's so good. I'm like, great. I'm not gonna watch it. I just know it's good. I know that you don't want to do it. I know that at the end of the day, you're thinking, what does it look like? But I promise you, video should be in everything that you're doing. You want to talk about lead converting? I am using video to say, congratulations, you're under contract. I'm using video to say, next is inspection, and people are loving it. The other thing you should be using video for is touching your clients. So there's an AI tool, again, we can do another class on the whole AI, because that's like the best thing ever. It will send out a video and change the name of who you're talking to. So you can record the video and it says, good morning, Phil. I saw that you were looking at 123 Main Street today, and it looks like you wanted to see it this afternoon. Are you available? Did you know you can go in and change Phil's name and the address, and it'll still record the video, and it sends it out? I know, right? Scary. It's pretty awesome. It does it. Did you know there's an AI voice that you can actually make it sound like you. You can type it in. Jason Pantana did this last week at the conference, and he showed us how he never even said this stuff, but there was an AI app that said it in his voice because they could make themselves sound like him. So if you hate video, learn technology. Because you don't have to do it, right? Some of the stuff that you could be doing, you can make one video and turn it into 3 or 4. The other thing I would tell you is find a friend. When I'm talking to people like in this room where I feel comfortable and I'm trying to help, it's easy for me. Last week I spoke in Chicago. When I got on that stage, man, you guys should have seen me. I was like breathing hard, right? Because I'm not comfortable. So I asked my coach to come on stage with me. Guess how much easier it got? So if you want to record a video, put somebody behind the video, and I promise it'll work like magic. You can literally be talking to them, but somebody's recording you, and you can use that to get leads. People are selling millions of dollars of homes from videos right now. If you are not doing it and you want to stay in real estate, now's the time to do it. I don't care what anybody says, it's coming. It's coming. You have to adjust to it, right? Okay, let me try to go back and stay on the subject. Anybody have any questions? I know I'm covering a lot. Apparently this class is supposed to be 2 hours. I'm trying to cut it shorter. It's a lot of content though. I think script practice, I'm a huge fan of it. If you're not scripting and if you want to learn how to script, you can message me. I'd love the opportunity to help you. One of the reasons that I'm here today is because I had people like you when I was at KW as a brand new agent who were sitting here, and I was in this room, and Joe Bothrow, I think she's at Bluegrass, she sat down with me and she helped me. Leah Horde, a few people really dove into helping me understand what I could do. And I want you to know, like, that one person can change your business if they will invest in you. So if you have side things or you're like, hey, can I get on a Zoom with you for 10 minutes? You should know I don't do my marketing, so when you see it, you're like, oh man, that's fabulous. Leslie called me, she's like, hey, can you teach a class? I'm like, actually, no. Because I don't do it. I hire that out. I've had the same video editor for 2 years. He's fabulous. He's from the Philippines. But I want you to know, like, I can connect you to the people that can teach you a class, and you can be at the level that I'm at, because if you pay for your education to go up, and what I mean by that is Jason Pantana has, I think it's like $600 for that class. It's $600, and it'll teach you everything in email marketing, video marketing, AI, just way above my IQ level, full disclosure. Like, it's super techie stuff, or you can ask me like just the simple stuff I know, like how to make a reel and things like that. Things I would tell you is follow up for everybody is very different. Past clients, past clients, past clients. Like, is everybody in here doing something for your client's 1-year anniversary? You should be. I just started, actually. Funny thing is, I do tons of client appreciation events. You should know that you can get lenders and title companies to help you cover the cost of that. Most of the time, it's about $2,000 out of my pocket, and they cover the rest. Whenever you're going through the actual process, just keep in mind that you only want one lender there and one title company there. Luckily, we have a preferred one, but just keep that in mind. And then you should be hitting the small times. So for example, we just started last week, so don't judge me, but we just started last week. We got a client concierge, Trinity, who's in the back, and she is hand delivering gifts on their home anniversary. Do you know how many referrals I've got in just a week? 30. And all I did was drop off flowers and a bottle of wine, or if they didn't drink, a gift card that said, thank you so much for your business. We appreciate you so much. So one of the things I'll ask you is, are you loving on your database who already like, know, and trust you? Because that's how you convert leads. Do people already like you? You don't have to show up and be nervous and be somebody you're not. You can show up in yoga pants and a t-shirt if they already like you, know you, and trust you. I wouldn't. But also because I want to make a statement to the agent to show up, right? But at the same time, you can do that. So why aren't you doing that? Why are you chasing yesterday's business or the next business when you already have a ton of database business? I'm the first one to tell you, I'm really bad at that. I've been an agent 4.5 years. I have a massive database, and we are just now starting to love on it. And I expect that next year we'll easily get 30 referrals out of that, because we love those clients. We go out of our way for those clients. We do everything possible for those clients. Why aren't we asking them for business? How do you convert them? Fair to say everybody agrees that a referral is the easiest to convert, right? What does that look like? Setting standards up front. So when I was a brand new agent, man, my husband was here today. He would have a million things to joke about how I would drive you know, 9 p.m. at night, $55,000 lot. He's like, they can't walk it themselves. I'm like, no, I need to be there. I need to tell them about the lead. He's like, it's 9 p.m. You can't even see it. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's the lead. I'm gonna go. How much time are you wasting on people that honestly are just walking around on Sunday looking at open houses for fun, right? What standards are you setting? When I was a brand new team lead, you should know that, you know, I kind of went through some transitions as a team lead on how I do things and what the standard is. I now understand that what might work for one agent is not going to work for another agent. One agent might not be able to be there at 9 a.m. because they have 3 kids to drop off in 3 different school districts. That's actually like a real thing. She can't be there at 9 a.m. She can't. She can't make follow-up calls at this time because that's the time theater gets picked up, right? You have to think about that and you have to adjust. And here's what you also have to do is you have to tell your buyers and your sellers, hey, listen, this is mine. Each of you may have your own. I say, if you call me between 7 and 8:30, you're not going to get me. I want to let you know that your time is so important to me. And then I always answer my phone and communicate effectively. If you are not communicating, if you're the real estate agent that takes 2 days to write me back, why? Do you not want to sell a house? Because I want to make money. And if you don't want to make money, go ahead and cancel that listing and let me make money. It is so important for us to communicate, not only with our clients, but agents. Agents want to work with agents they like. How many people in here have agents in their phone and they know when they submit an offer, they're my favorite, I'm definitely going to help push them to the top. We could say we don't do it, but I promise you, there are a few agents that when they come through, I'm like, oh, I'm rooting for you to get it, right? Like, I'm hoping you get it. That's a huge, huge deal. It is such a huge deal. So communication, if that's so important with the agents, how important is it with the clients? I tell people all the time, if you call me from 7 to 8:30, I will not answer. That time is my daughter's time. I'm doing bath time, I'm getting her ready for bed, and today, I now understand that nothing's gonna go crazy from 7 to 8:30. Now, if it's first day on the market, I'm going to adjust to accommodate you. But if it's not a, we need to go right now situation, I don't move that timeline because I understand how important it is. The other thing I want to tell you about standard is sometimes people are nasty to realtors and they don't see your value. Please do me a favor and fire them. Because I promise you throughout my whole career, there were so many people that I'm like, well, they're bringing me this many deals, they're bringing this many deals, we're doing this much stuff. There were so many other things that I could have been doing, following up, converting, making relationships, and I was too busy chasing the people who had no value in me, who wanted me to cut my commission, and I had to explain every time that I wasn't going to. So when you're doing this lead conversion, I need you to understand if you're going for the people that you want to convert, you will convert them. If you know that you don't like working with attorneys because they have a very high D personality, don't go for attorneys. Like at the end of the day, you get to decide what's your niche. What's your thing that you love to do? For me, it's veterans. The moment I can meet somebody who understands that we are the 1% that has served in the United States military, that's it. And if you meet an agent on my team, they have some type of affiliation right now with a military service person. So they understand how much this is the core value to me. I would ask you, what's your core value? Is it important for you to be a mom first and then be able to sell real estate? Is it important for you to be able to work with first-time home buyers? Because that is who you're going to convert. That's who you're going to convert. And I want you to shift everything that you've been doing in the last 2 to 3 years because that's not going to work anymore. The last 2 or 3 years, fair to say, I'm going to use you because I know you said you do online leads. Fair to say that, honestly, for the last 2 to 3 years, online leads have been just killing it. I mean, I could show up and sell like a little playhouse for $400,000, right? Kids time. It was going. Guess what? This is not the same market. And if you haven't already felt the shift, it's coming. So you should be doing tons of lead generations and conversion, not just online leads. It needs to be, are you in the community events? Georgetown just had this huge event downtown. If you sell houses in Georgetown, you should have been at that event, right? You should have been downtown, set up with a little table, having some type of thing there. The other thing I would tell you is I'm a big fan of, I want you to network with other agents, but how many people in here don't have enough time to do just lead generation? I mean, listen, when people are like, "Will you come to that event?" I'm like, no, I'm not. Because it's not going to make me any money. Do I want to build a relationship? Absolutely. If you ask me if I'm showing up, last year I did 13 conferences out of state. 13. Because I understand that continuing to learn and grow is how you make more money. That's how you level up too. How many people know somebody who's selling houses in an area, like I'm gonna give you an example, Malia is somebody who I really look up to. She is just honestly success and has done things that I want to do. Have you messaged them? Have you messaged that agent and said, hey, can I take you to lunch today? Can I build that relationship? Because that's how you learn how to convert higher, because I'm gonna ask her in 40503, just using this zip code, in 40503, do you find that this neighborhood is mostly elderly people? And guess what I later found out? The only people that sell in 40503 usually have passed away, unfortunately. Or it's one of the flips, because everybody knows there's a ton of flips going on right now. Or the people that are buying for students, right? So they're like converting those little houses into student housing. Once you know that knowledge and you get a lead that wants to buy in 40503, will that help you convert them? So what are you doing to educate yourself? Education is how you convert. If you know how to talk to somebody, anybody in here get objections and they're like, I don't know how to respond to that. Ask you, raise your hand. No, nobody on my team is raising their hand. Like, we're not getting called up today. But the truth is, my agents walk in all the time and I'll tell you, this is what they say. Quick question. I'm like, here we go, because it's never a quick question, right? Never. And they say, okay, so they said this, and I'm like, okay, but did you see it from this point of view? Did you slow down and see it from their point of view? Last week we were dealing with a situation, I know, I'm sorry, sit in front row, I gotta put you on the spot. Last week we were dealing, she's like, Ken's amazing. We were dealing with a situation where, 2 weeks ago, anybody, if you're watching your lead flow 2 weeks ago, okay, let's say 2 months ago, we had $400,000 buyers, we had like 6 or 7, and our hard was that they didn't want to buy because they were at a 2.75 interest rate. Anybody in here understand that? 2.75 interest rate. They were like, $300,000-$400,000 left, we're never selling. And so we were like, man, what are we gonna do? Like, there's $300,000-$400,000 buyers, they don't want to buy. Give us first-time home buyers. That's what we said, right? Anybody ever get your wish? Ask Ashley what she's dealing with right now, right? Because those first-time home buyers now, they can't even get pre-approved. They're approved, but put like $165,000. Anybody seen any $165,000? Because Ashley's got 6 buyers. Like, right? Like, we know this. So you have to choose your heart. So now she's like, okay, I'll go back to the 3,400s. Like, I'll take that back. I'll figure out a way to convince them to sell that 2.75 so they can use all the equity from there to move over, right? If you know that, how do you change it? Does that make sense, right? How do you do that? Those are the things you have to adjust in that market to this market. You have to adjust to understand that what was working 2 years, I promise you, will not work in this one. Any questions? Did that help? Does everybody feel like they kind of understand? Any questions I can answer on lead conversion? I think I covered a lot. I know that was, time is money. My biggest thing is, if you think calling a lead one time is going to help, it will not. You need to have touched them multiple times in the first 7 days. If you're dealing with clients such as past clients, you need to be touching them easily every holiday. I'm a big fan of get creative. We see it at KW and a lot of places do the pickup pie. Please don't do that. You can do it with KW, right? But go do something creative. Like find something like for us, we do.
So say we just scheduled it. So
Let's
go
go
pick
pick
up.
Okay, let's get it. So do that, but also do something else. Because here's the thing. So here's the thing is like for us, we do mimosas with moms. It's our best event, and pumpkin patch is our best event. But we do moms and mimosas, and last year all the husbands showed up, dropped all the women off, and they were like, we really want to come next year. We think you should make it a date night. So I waited till all the husbands left, and I'm like, hey ladies, this is what your husband said to me as they were pulling you in. What do you think? And they're like, no. No, we're good with this. They stay home on Mother's Day. It's actually not on Mother's Day, but it's the weekend before. We actually want to be able to do this on our own. Like, this is what we want. So, women vetoed. We told them, unfortunately, we can't do date night. It's just not available. And we do this event every year, and I want to let you know, there are so many women that come together, some of them that are older and don't know each other. And guess what? They're making relationships. So now when they go golfing together, we pick up 3 or 4 referrals just from that golfing community of women. It is so important that you're loving on your database. When you're converting leads, do not look at just online leads. Do not look at just Facebook leads. You need to have multiple pillars because if one goes down, what are you going to do? When I started my business, it was completely online leads. Today, I understand the value of how it has to be multiple things. We circle prospect, we call people. If you want to learn how to do the mailers, we can show you how to do a QR code to send that out. Whatever it is that you're struggling with, like there is a solution already. Do not try to come up with it on your own. You can rip off and duplicate somebody that's already done it. Any other questions? I think I covered everything, except for the don't forget the pies. Like make sure you pick up the pies. Dollar Home Team is going to buy a ton of those.
Well, I mean, so just specifically for the pies, we're not just doing pies, you guys. We're gonna have a hot chocolate bar. We'll probably have a photographer in that your clients can come in and pay a small portion to get their Christmas card photos done while they're here picking up their pies. So the pies is a great event. If you are limited to not being able to host your own,
Yeah.
if you can host your own event, do what she's doing, 100%. I'm not saying not to.
And if it's
you
an
don't
event,
have
I
the
think that's
capacity
awesome,
to,
right?
yeah, if you don't have the capacity to do your own event, leverage the ones that we help
Yeah,
launch.
I would agree. And maybe deliver the pie yourself.
Yeah.
Make them come
What
out
is
to
this
pick
whole
up the
pie
pie.
thing? I'm still confused about the pie.
So
thing.
every year KW and almost every
Okay.
other brokerage, honestly, a lot of them do this pie thing where,
Oh, for Thanksgiving?
yeah, and you
Oh,
can
okay.
purchase pies. But I would tell you this. Can I say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Pick it up yourself.
Yeah.
Deliver it to
Absolutely.
their house.
Yeah.
Anybody can have to go to Costco and pick up the pie. Can you deliver it for them? Because I'll tell you, we'll definitely participate. And when we participate, we're gonna have Trinity over there in that corner dropping it off to their house. Because when they come home, by the way, what do you think they do when they come home and there's a gift on their front doorstep?
Get excited.
And what do they do? What does everybody do? They
They
take a picture.
Yeah.
And they put it on Facebook and they tag, I have the best realtor ever. She did this for me today. Who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest? You should call her.
Yeah.
Is that a lead generation? All day long. And it cost me $15. And that pie's gonna cost you $15. And you get
Yeah.
lead gen, right?
We're not making any money off of your guys' pies. This is for you. So, I mean, it's that same side of it. If you have the ability to deliver it yourself, I highly, highly recommend that you do so. Right? Take advantage of us going to Costco and you not having to go to Costco and spend the $200 if you weren't planning on spending at Costco. Right? Like, help your budget,
Just
make
don't go to
us go to
Costco. It'll
Costco.
really be like $500 by the time
Yeah.
you're done.
So, I mean, leverage us getting the pies for you, leverage us doing the back end of how many pies you need, but come pick them up yourself and deliver them yourself. If you have that ability, I highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. If you do not have the ability to do that for whatever reason, then utilize the event that we are already doing. Right? Yeah.
Any questions? Anything else that I can help? You're like super quiet, so I just have to keep going. Like anything that you're struggling with that you're like, hey, I just don't know. How long have you been an agent?
He's getting his license. Yeah, he doesn't know his license.
That's
yet.
exciting.
Wait.
Listen, you should know. So that was her. She started with me October. She wasn't licensed till May. Ask her how many homes she sells consistently every month by starting where you're at. Tell them.
3 to 4.
4. Last month she sold 3, so she refuses to say 1 out. But she's sold 4 consistently since out of the gate. I can't tell you how much being here right now is a game changer for you. Because when I was a single mom, I got licensed in 2018, and I joined a team. I loved that team, but I couldn't do it because I couldn't be there at 8:05 because I had a daughter. And oh, by the way, I got out of the military to spend more time with my daughter and not wake up so early. So you should know, like all my meetings are like 10 a.m. Right? And so with that being said, I quit that team and I decided like, hey, I just need to learn the market. I spent a year learning the market. I came back in October of 2019 and I hit the ground running. My first year I sold 47 homes because I did what you're doing right now. And I empowered myself with just knowledge of the market. So I think it's awesome that you're like, I'm just getting started. And also, you don't have any bad habits. So you don't have to worry about hitting what everybody in COVID, where's Autumn? She's not here. So Autumn dealt with a market in COVID where, I mean, literally, she could show up and be like, I'm writing an offer. She didn't even have to know the numbers. She looked at the listing price and was like, it's 40,000 over. Will that work for you today? It's 40,000 over. I mean, can you just imagine telling people? Were you in, okay, so you know, listen, we would line up down the street, everybody's like, we're going to be essential or we're not going to be essential. And when it came through that we were essential, everybody wanted to buy a new house. I mean, it was an awesome market. Here's what you should know. Be glad that you missed it because you're never going to see it again.
Yeah.
That's like the truth. Be glad that you missed it because it's not coming back. And when people say, hey, listen, you know, I have a 2.75 interest rate, how do I get past this? I mean, it was just like COVID, we're past it. It's time to let it go. It's not coming back. We probably will never see it in our generation again, right? So just being able to understand that will be good for you. And the biggest thing I would tell you just like going in is understanding when people say, hey, how's the market? Hey, it's challenging, but it's always challenging. The question is what challenging, what challenge it is. And then use your past experience because that's what we do.
Yeah, he's off and running. He's already registered for full. And he's gonna be killer because he's a pastor.
Oh
So
yeah,
his
you got
His
yeah,
SOI is huge. So he's gonna be. And for you, I don't know if I told you this. I can't remember who I was telling this. You have your SOI, your sphere of influence, right? Yours is already large, right? That's not your sphere of influence in the traditional sense. Your sphere of influence is all of their spheres of influences added on top. Because they know you, they trust you, and now, I mean, you're
And
just,
oh, by the
he's
way,
gonna
they
kill.
trust you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even have to
Yeah.
show up by nobody else but yourself,
Yeah.
right? You're like,
Yeah.
but that's the truth, right? Like, you have a massive community of people. If I was you, I would be telling them right now, hey, did you know I'm actually spending all this time learning about real estate? Tell them what you're doing. I'll tell you what I tell them is don't be the secret agent. I don't care that you're not licensed right now. Go, like literally post pictures of inside KW, learning today about the market, things like that. I joke and tell them all the time, you know, they'll show 16 houses. I'm like, I don't know if you're in showings because you didn't see it on Facebook. Fair to say that that's the truth. And then I'll have clients call me and they're like, oh my gosh, Autumn is so busy. Like I saw her in 16 clients. I'm like, well, she's taking the video, she's showing that she's in it. That's how you also start to tell them like, hey, I'm gonna be an agent. I'm gonna be. Will, how long have you been an agent now?
Just over a year.
Yeah, and so honestly, like in the beginning, you were kind of incognito, right? Like nobody knew he was an agent. And then as soon as he started telling people, hey, I'm an agent, and getting out there, and still, fair to say you don't like social media still, like he's just okay with it. He's not a fan of it. And that's okay, but here's what I'll tell you. You want to know how to get lead generated with no money? Social media. Social media. Right now, you know, I'm a huge TikTok fan. I'm just now starting on it, so I haven't been doing it that much. But you should find your funniness. Like, what do you love, you know? I would totally be using your niche of like, you know, I would have a field day with it, right? And I know there's some things that like, you're probably like, well, I don't want to be salesy, but you have a whole community of people that are probably ready to buy, you know, and they trust you more than they're ever going to trust me, right? I think that's awesome. And it's awesome that you're here and already learning.
Exciting, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's definitely gonna be a little different, okay?
Yeah.
They're not gonna be so nice. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I deal with
Maybe you do referrals only, and then they'll just be fabulous, right? So, any other questions? Any other things that you're struggling with? Any scripts that you want to know about? Anything like that that I can help you with today? Because I got 2 agents right here ready to role play if you want to hear how it's done, right?
I mean, so what's your go-to script when you get a client on the phone from Zillow, Realtor, Opsity, when you get them on the phone, how do you leverage that, knowing that they're coming in from Realtor.com and they obviously already have a house. So I know that you said be prepared to show them more than just the house that they're looking for. But what does that script look like for you when they pick up the phone?
Yeah.
Or when they answer that?
There you go, Autumn.
Come on, Autumn. Autumn just came back, so we're gonna put her up here. Oh, you want me? Yeah. You should also do this. Autumn, when you take a call, what should you be doing?
What?
Standing and smiling. Because if you take a, and it's crazy. People think I'm crazy, but if I'm talking right now and my face is like this, can you tell that I'm just like talking normal? But if I'm talking like this and my tone is high and I'm smiling, do I sound more energetic and want to talk to you? It really matters. I know we go through this all the time, and I'll tell you, if you look at our conversion rate, the tone is so important. Autumn has my tone, so you're going to notice she literally is going to sound just like me. If myself or her get a client that talks like this, usually we send them to Ashley, just kidding. No, seriously though, we have to lower, and sometimes I feel pretty dumb because I'm like, absolutely, I completely understand. How can I help you? And I feel like I'm super slow, right? But that's what they need. And you have to meet them where they need. So this is what a Zillow call is going to look like. I'm I'm gonna push Autumn a little bit just for fun.
From the agent?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, ring.
Hi, is this Kymberly?
Actually, my name is Julie.
Oh, hi Julie. This is Autumn with Valor Homes team. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Good. So I see here that you'd like to see 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Is that the blue house? I clicked on a few of them that I want to see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull it up. I think it's off of, over by Costco. Have you seen that blue house?
Yeah, this is actually the blue house right by Costco in Hamburg. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hey, that's in Hamburg. I thought it was in Winchester.
No, ma'am. This one is in Hamburg. It's in 40509. Are you looking in Winchester or are you wanting to be in Lexington?
I'm kind of open.
Okay, so kind of open. So you said that, you called in about this one. Do you want to see this one or do you not like it so much that it's in Hamburg?
Well, can you show me any house?
Absolutely. I can show you any house I'm licensed in the state of Kentucky.
Okay. Well, I found a few in Winchester that I'd like to see. What do you think about Winchester? Because I actually currently live in Alaska, and I am not. This happens. Y'all think I'm kidding? It's recorded. I currently live in Alaska, and I'm planning on buying it without seeing it because I'm active duty, but I'm going to be home in 6 weeks. And so, I was looking up the crime rate in Winchester. I think it's a lot less. And man, the houses seem cheaper. Is there something wrong with Winchester?
So Kymberly, I actually live in Winchester myself. So it's definitely a lot different than Lexington. You're going to have a lot smaller of a city, but a lot of people like it because it's close enough to Lexington and you get the amenities as well. Homes are going to be cheaper there, but you're going to get a lot more for your money. So you're going to get more land, bigger house compared to Lexington. You said that you were active duty. One, thank you for your service, and two, what's bringing you here exactly? Did you grow up here, or do you have family, or what's about Kentucky that's bringing you here?
I'm going to go to EKU.
Okay, how exciting! I actually went to EKU myself, graduated from there. Will this be your first time coming to Kentucky ever?
No, I came there a while back. I don't really remember it. I was thinking about Richmond too, but I just need a really good house at a really good price. I heard the market's crashing. Can you help me? I don't know how this works, and I'm not going to be able to see the home.
Okay, so one, I want to mention that we do specialize in relocation. So we have a lot of active duty members and just people relocating from out of state to Kentucky themselves. We have a few different options and whatever you feel most comfortable with. So one, I can always do a FaceTime if you have availability with FaceTime. I can also do a video. Keep in mind that I'm a very honest agent, so I will point out any flaws that I see so that way you are more comfortable. In the past, we have had people buy it without seeing it and don't get the keys until they've already bought it. So my team and I will make sure that we go above and beyond for you to make sure that one, you see the home completely, you get the full version, the neighborhood, everything. And two, we will hold the keys for you if you'd like, unless you have someone here to hold them, and we can make sure that you get those keys the day of or whenever you come in. How does that sound?
The last option would be flying to see.
Oh, and the other option that we have is if you're able to take time off and come in and see. I know you're active duty, so I know that vacation and everything looks a little bit differently for you and leave. If you're able to fly in even for a weekend or just one day, I will make sure that I am available 100% to you that day. Does any of those options sound doable for you?
Yeah, can we FaceTime? And I want to see these 9 homes. So if it's okay, there's a few in 40509, a few in 405. I think it's 05. I'll send them to you. Can I see all 9 today?
So what I'll tell you, Kymberly, is I will say that seeing 9 homes, it's already 5 p.m. I'm only able to get to the home until 9 p.m. How about this? How about I set up your favorite homes out of the 9 that you have for today? And then I'll set up the other portion of that tomorrow, and we can FaceTime that. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when we get off the phone here, I'm going to go ahead and text you my personal phone number. You can text or call at any time, and then send me those 9 homes. Send me them in order of your favorite to least favorite, so I make sure I schedule them the best way. Is that okay?
That sounds good. Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're very welcome, Kymberly. Have a good day.
This is a hard call, but you should know what happens all the time. So this is an easy call, okay? We're going to do an easy call. We're going to do easy call.
Okay.
Make sure that you add in the new stuff that we've had. And I will give you guys the secrets. I wish it wasn't on Facebook. Only get it if you're here. Okay, you ready? So, ring.
Hi, is this Kymberly?
Hi, this is.
Hi, Kymberly. This is Autumn Bishop with Valor Homes team. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you today, Autumn?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. So Kimberly, I see here that you'd like to see 123 Main Street. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm super excited. It just hit the market. I want to see it this afternoon at 6.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, Kimberly, if it's okay with you, I'm going to reach out to the seller, see if that time works best for them as well. If for any reason 6 does not work for them, are you available any other time this afternoon?
Honestly, I could do any time after 6 o'clock today. That would be perfect.
Okay, perfect. And then Kimberly, while I have you, are there any other homes that you'd like to see in the area, or is there any other homes that you've seen that you're kind of looking forward to looking at?
Yeah, there were a few other homes. I could send them over to you and we could see those if possible.
Absolutely, I can set them up for right after this one. So I'll text you for my personal phone number to confirm the 6 o'clock today on this home. You text me the other addresses and I'll get those set up, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. I look forward to seeing you there. And then, are you gonna send me your number or how does that work? Like, how do I know who I'm meeting?
Yeah, so you'll be meeting me, so I'll text you for my personal phone number and you'll have access to that. If for any reason anything changes, please just call me and we'll make sure that we reschedule, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. So that's gonna be your typical call that's gonna come through every day. That, you should know, once you start asking, are there any other homes that I can show you? You open the door for if they're a talker, they're gonna talk. And if they talk, you now build a relationship before you ever see that house. And if you can build a relationship before you ever see that house, they will not cancel. Both of them easily close 3 to 4 homes every month, right? Unless they make a lot of money and go on vacation, which happens sometimes. Just kidding. But seriously, they do, right? We as realtors are excited that everybody in here that is active, they see that we do this, right? We have like a killer month, make a lot of money, then we're on vacation, all of a sudden we come back broke. Well, what happened? Like, where'd all the money go, you know? Well, what happens is if you're not doing consistent, if you're not making sure that you're lead generating at all times, you are going to see this roller coaster throughout the entire process. Do not forget to work on your current business, past business, and future business throughout it all, because that's how you're going to have lead generation that continues to convert for you. They have tons of buyers right now that will not buy until January, but they will buy in January. So just stay on them. Does that help everybody? Any other questions?
I mean, I have a million more, but
You
I'm
can
not
ask
the
me.
realtor,
Listen,
so.
I'm here. You can ask me any questions that you have.
Well, before I ask my million questions, you are all the realtors here in this room. Do you all have questions for her? And Jennifer is on Zoom. Jennifer, if you have any questions for her, please pop on. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions? Before I ask them.
Yeah.
You said you're in the horse industry now.
I know.
You bought a horse, riding, and just, are you riding with a group, or are you?
So I am trying to make myself
Get a
known.
thoroughbred tab, or what?
I wish I was, not yet. I just started it about, so for the past 2 years, I've been trying to figure out how to get into it, because you should know that I do tons of agent-to-agent referrals at this point in my business. So how do I become known as the horse person? Well, the first thing I did was learn everything about horses. You cannot be a horse farm person if you don't know all of the maintenance and all of the horse words, right? So coming from Kentucky, people expect that I should know this, right? And so I learned that. So that's the first step. It's just read books. That's all I did. And still today, like, I bought a horse. It sounds bad, but a month after I bought him, he was in the horse fiddle last week. I know it's a real thing. So I quickly learned how much horses cost, and that's helped me. You know, I was a little sick when I got that deal.
It's
Got
not a
insurance.
good one.
You know? So, but before I actually bought the horse, I spent 3 years, the last 3 years, I have been determined that I'm going to get into horse farms. And so I spent all of this time learning everything about land, because land is a hard one, right? So I learned about the land. I learned about the structures of the building. If you don't know what a Morton building is, go find out if you want to get into horse farms, because it's one of the best buildings out there. I learned the builders, who are the people, what do they want? I learned all of this stuff such as how do you put water and electricity in, what are needed. I learned all of these things, and then I put myself in the rooms with the right people. So you can ride at Whispering Woods. You can ride at Whispering Woods. Jesse and all of them are fabulous. Get to know those people. They know everybody in the community. I hired Erin Schroeder. She's like number 8 on the Ocala. Maybe I got it wrong. She might be higher. I hired her as my personal trainer. And then I hired Rosie, who's one of the #1 jockeys out there, to train my daughter. So I started putting myself in rooms with them to build relationships where they knew me as a realtor, right? And over time, I now have this relationship where if I meet somebody and they say, hey, do you sell horse farms? like that. I know Ashley Shelby here, Spencer, her daughter competes and things like that, and so she's been able to be in those rooms with the right people. All of that is going to help you. It's all about the relationships, you know? So whatever you can do to be around it, by the way, to go ride at Whispering, it's like $80 for an hour. It's amazing the relationships that you're making is there. Also, I would tell you, like, Kymberly, all of those
I
events.
bartend at Kymberly, that's a good,
Yeah.
yeah, so like I do the sales and then like I do the meets.
Yeah, it's so important. Like, honestly, and understanding the language, that's been a huge deal. The land is the hardest thing. I don't know if that's like an expertise of yours. For mine, you gotta get a land, call and hang up. Like, don't call. I'm like, go look at it yourself. It's not the right answer, right? Like, it's actually a smart thing right now to sell land because they can build a new build for the amount that it's gonna cost to shut it down, right? So with that being said, just keep that in mind. But I'll be honest with you, trial and error. I have failed so much, you just have to not care. And just be in the rooms with the right people. I joke around and say, we still golf, like we all go golfing. I still do not know how to play golf, but the people and the relationships that I meet when I'm on the golf course, because people on the golf course have money and apparently can spend all day on the golf course, must be nice.
Sounds like
I've so been looking for somebody
Man,
to
I'm telling you.
stop gonna go golfing with.
It's a real thing, right? These are things that I would tell you. I would also tell you, so I'm a huge investor. For those of you who don't know, this year I flipped 6 homes on my own, but over the last 2 years I flipped 24 homes with an investor's money. Another story, different time, but how did I do that? Well, I figured out the numbers. Because when you have the tools to figure out the numbers, I can now walk in a house and they think I'm crazy, but I can tell you exactly how much it's going to cost to completely renovate it in probably 39 minutes within about $5,000 to $10,000 difference. And it comes from my operations manager on my team's husband. We have a full contracting team with him. We know down to 250 square feet what the room costs, all of these things. You want to get into the investing world, you better understand what a commercial loan looks like. What are the people that you need to know? I tell people all the time, if you want to become a flipper, investor, you want to buy rental properties, if you don't know who Ryan Foster is, that's the first step. Because he's one of the biggest investors in town at traditional bank. Super intelligent, and guess who small banks lend to? People they know, like, and trust. It's not about your credit score, it's not about how much houses you have, it's about do they believe in you, and that's how you build those relationships. So whatever niche you want to get into, for me, veterans, I don't do a good enough job, honestly, you can always get better. I am a big learner, and so right now I'm trying to push that I'm a veteran myself. And, you know, as veterans, you feel like, okay, I don't want to like brag and boost, but honestly, that's what makes me so disciplined and such a good negotiator and who I am. So whatever your niche is, push on that. If you love farms, push on that. You know, in your situation, you have this massive database, push on that, right? You don't have to do anything except for tell them that you're an agent, right? And I think that whatever that may be, you know, Autumn can convert a first-time home buyer like nobody else. Me and Ashley are like, Autumn, can you show up at this showing? Because even though we're just older, right? We expect them to know what they want. We're like, we showed you 16 homes. You don't know what city you want to live in? Like, we're done, right? But here's the thing is, Autumn's patience, because guess what? Autumn didn't have a clue when she bought a home a year ago where she wanted to live, so she can understand and relate to them. Does that help you?
I think too, I don't have her expertise, but I think too, if you are not already in the niche that you want to be, find somebody who's in it. They don't have to be a realtor. Find somebody who's in that niche and learn from them. If you're not in the horse niche and that's where you want to be, find somebody who owns horses and send them a property and be like, as a horse owner, what do you think of this property? And then they'll tell you, well, it's not fenced, I would have to fence it. It's a little too rolly, you risk them, you know.
Or take your bee buyers who just want to go look at it, but are going to tell you way too much information. We do this all the time. We'll have a buyer that's intelligence level might be a little bit higher than ours. Maybe it's like an investment or something. And we'll say, hey, listen, can you come with us to look at this property and tell us what you think of it? And they just want to hang out. Most of the time they do, right? And then guess what? When that A buyer calls, perfect example we're going to use, there's a house on the market right now. Ashley gets a Zillow call on it 2 days ago. She calls Kendra and says, has this house been shown? Do you know we have a file that'll say, yes, the numbers and comps have already been ran on it. This is why it's a no for a flipper. This is why it's a yes for an investor that wants to keep it as a rental. and this is how many times it's been on the market and off. Are you keeping up with that? Because guess what? She didn't have to do any work. All she had to do was message in Valley Homes team and say, hey, here's the address, showing it to an investor. Is it a go or no? And it was handed to her. Because the other thing you should not be doing is working harder. And when you're dealing with online leads, most of the time they all fall over the same house, the same pending house. Fair, right? The same pending house. If you're dealing with online Facebook leads, most of the time they don't know. One thing we are very big on is buyer consultation. While I don't make them sign a buyer's representation agreement, that's just because at the end of the day, if you just walk into an open house and decide that you want to write, it's not very smart, well that's fine, and you can deal with the mess that you've made, right? So we're okay with that, but at the same time, I can tell you that we are very big on buyer consultations. The difference is we do them in the house the moment you need us. We schedule a 30 to 45 minute showing, and we are doing that buyer consultation in an atmosphere where you feel comfortable. How many people want to go to an office? By the way, Tom Ferry coaching right now would be destroying me saying that I'm not making them come to my office. But I'm not, because you have to do what works for you. For me, if you text me and say, I need you to come to my office, I'm like, I barely got time to go to my office. Come to yours, right? No, but if you say, hey, you want to see that beautiful house down on Main Street? I'm like, what time can I get in? And then when I get there and I meet you, if you're as authentically yourself and you genuinely want to help me, I'm going to know that you genuinely want to help me. I promise you, there are so many agents that are in this industry that just don't care about the people, they care about the commission check. And when you stop caring about the money, when you care about the people, you will make so much money. And that's what we have found. I tell agents all the time, if you get somebody that's a nasty human being and they just, think that you're just an object to open doors, fire them. But understand, if you get somebody who's struggling to buy a house and your commission is the reason they can't, find a creative way, because they are the bigger picture. Anything else?
I think my biggest question for you is when you're converting a lead. Let's say you have somebody come in, you show them all of these properties, and maybe specifically talking about you have an out-of-state buyer who's coming in, you show them all these properties, you take all this time, show them all these properties, and then they turn around and they call you and say, hey, I just bought a property.
That doesn't happen with me.
How do you keep it from happening?
Because so first of all, most of the time when a buyer comes in, and you should know this is actually very common with us, probably 35% of the people did this last year. We're going to set a date. We know when they're coming. Saturday, they're going to be in showings all day long. And then they're probably going to buy a house before they leave that day. So do you know when to push and when not to? And that is a huge deal for agents, is that you feel like you're too pushy. I need you to understand that they are not the professional, and they are looking at you to be. And so if they just flew into Kentucky to purchase a home, and I have shown them 17 homes, somebody tell me how one of them just isn't right for them. Because if we've been looking for usually 2 to 3 months between now and then, I want you to know, there is a home that's for them. And if I've done my job as an agent, they're not flying in for 4 homes. They're flying in for 13. And there will be a home in that 13 that's perfect for them. They didn't get on a plane to come here not to buy a house. The other thing I would tell you is, in my career of 4.5 years, I've been doing online Zillow leads for the whole time, right? I have never had that happen. I've had one time where a buyer decided not to move from Colorado here. Guess what they ended up doing in Colorado? Selling their home and purchasing a new one. And guess who got paid for it? Because I found them the referral agent, and I got paid for both sides, right? Because at the end of the day, you should know if you're not doing agent-to-agent referrals, you're missing out on so much business. There is so much business that comes and goes, and I want you to keep that in mind when looking at. A lot of people are like, oh, you're wasting so much time going to all these conferences. One, I would push to say that when it comes to knowledge of the market and just really trying to be the best agent, I'm top 5% in Lexington. I would also push to say, when it comes to understanding that I'm not where I need to be, but I'm just getting started, that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter that you've been in this market 27 years. It doesn't matter that you don't have your license yet. It doesn't matter. You can walk out that gate. Both of them have been in less than me. They will surpass me because they have the right mentor and the right person that's going to take them to new heights no matter what. Some of the times, you hear people, I went to a conference last week to give you an idea of conversion and why it's so important. This super young guy, super awesome, he said to me, I need to make it in 90 days or I'm going to quit. I'm like, okay, well, let's deal with the problem here. Why do you need to make it in 90 days? He's like, well, I'm paying for this, this, and this, and my bank account's getting low. That's a real thing. How many people at some point have thought about quitting, right? We all have. There have been so many times where I'm like, I'm going to shut it all solo agent. You need to do what's right now for you to be able to make it, for you to be able to provide for your family. And nobody gets to put a time clock on that. Stop comparing yourself to an agent who's been, I've been here 4.5 years. I tell them all the time, they are going to be way better than me at 4.5 years. They don't need to be comparing themselves to my negotiation skills. I fell on my face a whole lot and didn't convert a whole lot of leads to get to where I'm at today. So if you win one conversion today, it's better than what you did yesterday, right? You just have to understand, like, to me, what sets me aside and my team, when they walk in a room, look at them. They look professional. They're dressed to the nine. When they walk in a room, you better believe that they are the top agents in that room. They are trained. You could ask them a real estate question right now, and I promise you they can tell you like that. And here's the thing, they work their butts off. They beat themselves up for not knowing the answer when they walk into a 4.5-year agent who's done over 400 transactions, and I'm like, what's the answer? Ashley would be like, gosh, how did I miss that? You know, and I'm like, it's fine. Like, you're only 8 months in, right? You have to want it that bad. You have to want to convert that bad. You have to want to succeed that bad. And the other thing I'll tell you is, you have to be in the right rooms. None of this matters if you don't have somebody who's been there, done it, telling you. I'll never forget, brand new agent, I'm telling you a story. Brand new agent. Anybody get the how long you've been in the business question? I don't care how long you've been in the business. Doesn't matter. I want to know how many houses have you sold. I want to know how many deals have you had fall apart. How many investor deals have you had? Tell me the numbers that make me trust you, right? That's what I want to know. People will send me stuff all the time and say, well, listen, sweetie. Oh, you must not know who I am. Like, sweetie is not going to take away the fact that I am here to do a professional deal. And I want you to trust me, respect me, and I'll be the best agent on the other side. I will get it done. I will help you. If I've got to raise my commission, let's do it. Because it's not about us, it's about these two people. So when you're thinking of lead converting, there are so many things that need to go into it, but the number one thing is confidence. You need to walk into a room and know that that buyer and seller needs your help. And if there are a million other agents they can choose, that's what I hear all the time. I swear every time I interview new agents, they're like, we know what makes you different. We're the best. We are the best. When you walk into Lexington, Kentucky, I don't care what anybody says. Everybody can be like, well, actually, the board say so-and-so's the best this month. They just didn't get to beat us. They just didn't get the opportunity to meet one of the agents on my team, because I promise, if one of my agents on the team went up against anybody, they'd outscript them, they'd have more knowledge, they'd be able to tell you every house that hit the market this month, and they would have a confidence that makes you hire them. So that's what you do. And I believe in that more than anything else, because in 4.5 years, we have moved mountains, and it all started with understanding that you can decide you're going to change the way this business goes, or you can listen to all the people that tell you it doesn't work. When I first got in, everybody told me don't do online leads. And then guess what? I went on Zillow, bought Zillow. Guess who was on it? The people that told me not to buy it. I'm so confused here. I thought we were collaborating. We weren't collaborating. They thought I was the competition. And I'll tell you, people always joke with me. They're like, hey, you know, what competition? You're going to help them out? My agents this morning, they're kind of joking. They're like, why are we going over there to tell them all our secrets? I'm like, because we're here to collaborate. We're here to help each other. Because here's the thing, unless you go do it, they're going to take my business. And oh, by the way, if you go up against Valley Homes team, they're kind of ready. If they're ready, they're locked and loaded, and they're on these online leads, right? They know what they're doing. Negotiation, I get agents all the time that call me like, well, you know, I'm like, listen, you shouldn't even call me, because I promise you, they're going to say exactly what I have, because they're trained by the best. That's definitely the military background out of me, where they're never going to walk into a house. You know, agents, whenever you're texting people, have people respect you. Talk to them like they're people. Do not send reckless conversations, because you're going in our phone as rude agent. And when we get 6 offers, guess what we know about you? You're not very nice. Who wants to work with not nice people? So when you're converting leads, guess what? When I walk into a home and somebody says, hey, I'm actually working with this agent. Because sometimes that happens. Anybody show up at the house and they are actually working with an agent? Say, hey, look, your agent's fabulous. I'm going to go ahead and show you the home because we're here, and like it would just be rude to leave. But I just want to let you know the way it works. And your agent actually doesn't get paid unless you use them. So would you do me a favor and just call them, let them know that you saw this house with me today. And I would love the opportunity, if for any reason later on that relationship doesn't work for you, I'd love the opportunity. Here's my information. But again, I'm not stepping on any agent's toes. I'll be the most professional agent you will ever meet in your life because I understand that relationships with people are what's going to get you far. But I'll also tell you this. They'll call me and tell me you've been in the business 47 years and I need to adjust my negotiation style. Because that is not the truth. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. It matters, do you care about the buyer or seller? And are we going to get the deal done? Because conversion is about you being willing to negotiate. Conversion is you understanding the bigger picture. And we can go through all of this. I want you to know, we deal with a lot of clients who have a different language barrier and things. Can you meet them where they're at? Can you lower your voice? Can you talk slow? Can you explain to them the things that you think are common sense because this is your level of education? Because I promise you, most people don't. Most people think they're incompetent. No, they're not. They're not a real estate agent. They don't understand what an earnest money is. They don't understand that they get it back. Did you take the time to help them? The other thing I'll tell you is stop competing with everybody else and be the best you. Like, I cannot tell you how much conversion is because when they walk in and off, like when they walk in anywhere, their mindset is, we got this. We don't even think about that. She never thinks about, Autumn, how long you been now? 3 years?
3 years.
So, Autumn, straight out the gate, right? Came in. When she first started, I think she looked like she was 16. Now she's 23, I think. I've been saying 20 for 30 years, right? Autumn, how hard was it for you to convert $1 million listings in the beginning? $1 million buyers in the beginning? How hard was it for you?
Hard at first.
She borrowed my truck one time because she's like, I